My name is Mila Avalos, and the species I'm defending is Aphid glycinis, or the soybean aphid.
Howdy, my name is Oliver Davis, and the species I will be representing is the Melanaphis sakari, or the sugarcane aphid.
Our topic of debate is whether the soybean aphid or the sugarcane aphid causes greater losses or damages in agriculture. The soybean aphid is native to Asia and has only been in the Midwest since 2000. They were first discovered in Wisconsin in July of 2000, and within 4 years of their discovery, they had spread to 10 north central states in the United States and 3 provinces in Canada, according to the Annals of the Entomological Society of America. Something that is unique about them is that they are not a problem in the parts of Asia that they reside from. This is because there is a parasitic wasp native to those areas that provide major control for the aphids. Soybean aphids measure less than 1/16 of an inch in length and can be with or without wings. Both winged and wingless aphids possess piercing and sucking mouth parts. Wingless soybean aphids are pear-shaped and can be anywhere from pale yellow to lime green in color. Adults have dark cornicles or tailpipes on the end. Oppositely, winged soybean aphids are dark-bodied and have long, transparent wings. The problem that these aphids pose on soybean crops is that they feed on sap from the phloem. To cause damage to the plant, there would need to be about 700 aphids per plant. Their infestation level is very heavily influenced by ecological factors such as temperature and biological control. Soybean aphids are most likely to be found on the underside of leaves as the growing season progresses. They will most likely be found on the lower leaves further from the terminal bud. Their damage can go undetected with smaller infestations, but when the infestation is high, they can cause damage such as dark sooty mold growing on the honeydew or sugary excretions that the aphids produce, stunted growth, yellow wrinkled leaves, and aborted pods. To control the population of soybean aphids, it is recommended that insecticide is sprayed when the population rises to 250 aphids per plant. This is recommended because by the time the population goes notice and the insecticide is ordered and applied, the population will have jumped to about 700 aphids per plant, which can result in a 50% crop yield loss. In addition to the insecticide that can be sprayed to prevent the aphid infestation, biological controls such as lacewings and lady bugles help limit the soybean aphid population.
Sugarcane aphids tend to reside in tropical and subtropical regions such as Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Central and South Americas. Its first recorded spotting in mainland U.S. occurred on sugarcane in Florida in 1977 and later spread to Louisiana in 1999, according to a TAMU AgriLife study. The insect failed to adapt to a non-tropical environment, and thus they could not survive in the temperate American climate. However, over time, they were able to adapt to the temperate climate. The sugarcane aphid has a gray to light yellow color with a rounded diamond silhouette or a tailpipe-like structure, which are called cornicles. This particular aphid has a distinct colonizing behavior when moving onto sugarcane or sorghum plants. They colonize the lower surfaces, such as the stalk and the lowest hanging leaves first. An unmanaged sugarcane aphid colony can spread to the head of the sorghum and sugarcane, ruining the yield. Furthermore, in large colonies, a sticky sap-like substance will be produced which can offer protection from predators. External physical symptoms that leaves exhibit when aphids colonize can be numerous. Aphid feeding on leaves causes it to yellow, red, or brown discolorations. Furthermore, the sap produced by large colonies can encourage the development of a black, sooty mold, which can damage future crop growth. An interesting note, according to a TAMU AgriLife Extension joint study with LSU and OSU, found that the primary food source for the sugarcane aphid is sorghum and not sugarcane. This helps frame the conversation and broaden the scope of damage caused by the insect. Texas ranked second in sorghum acreage plant in 2016, which had an economic value of $607.5 million. Direct economic losses due to sugarcane aphid damage related to sorghum was $59.09 million in 2016 alone. This loss only accounts for costs directly related to aphid damage. On average, the annual economic losses related to this aphid totaled 513 job losses and 169.83 million in economic output, including a direct loss of 78.57 million in farms.
In your provided information, you discuss how the sugarcane aphid did not survive in the United States as well as it did in Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Central and South Americas because they were not able to adapt to a non-tropical environment. Meanwhile, the soybean aphid caused no threats in the places in Asia that they originated from because they had plenty of natural predators to keep them off the crops. The survival of the soybean aphid caused little damage before they were contaminated or contained by the use of insecticides. Would you agree that the soybean aphids caused less damage because they only impacted a small area in the United States and Canada before they were combated with the use of insecticides, while sugarcane aphids still impacts parts of Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Central and South Americas?
So the sugarcane aphid was unable to survive in America's temperate climate in the 20th century, yes, but over time they were able to adapt and now cause hundreds and millions of crop damage alone. The sugarcane aphid is similar to the soybean aphid in that it has numerous natural predators in Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Central and South Americas. However, it does not cause extraordinary damage in the United States due to farmer practices, it does cause extraordinary damage in the United States due to farmer practices coupled with a lack of natural predators. There are current methods being studied by Texas A&M Agriculture to drop the direct monetary damage by about 1/3 over a period of years. Addressing your question, if the insect being combated with insecticides make it less damaging, then the sugarcane aphid would also fit that criteria. While the sugarcane aphid does impact foreign countries, I think it would be a safe assumption that the soybean aphid also causes disruption in any temperate tropical climate that grows soybeans. The deciding factor should be what damage is caused by each prospective insect in the United States. As per your data, the soybean aphid can result in up to a 50% loss in crop yield in large colonies. There is no data showing that any sugarcane aphid infestation caused any overall crop damage yield by 50%. This could be possible on individual farms, but that data would have to be reported individually by farms, and that was not in the TAMU AgriLife joint study. As a result of the 50% statistics, I would say that the soybean aphid causes the most crop damage over time.
I would argue that because soybean aphids can cause up to 50% loss of crop yield does not equate to most crop damage over time. Now that there are appropriate measures that have been taken, farmers are aware of when to apply management practices and therefore lessen the amount of crop loss they face as a result of soybean aphids. In your argument, you present that there are few natural predators to the sugarcane aphid, which means low levels of biological control. This, coupled with the farmers' practices, leads me to believe that infestation of sugarcane aphids would cause greater damages because there are few things that help alleviate the population. Due to soybean aphids having high levels of biological control and measures put in place to help once they are detected, they would be less likely to have a large population to start with, and therefore are less likely to cause greater crop damage than the sugarcane aphids are.
The monetary impact of the sugarcane aphid does appear to be greater than the soybean aphid. It racks up hundreds of millions in damages per year, and that does not include the job losses and all the hardship that those job losses inflict on families. However, Texas A&M AgriLife, Kansas State, LSU, Wisconsin University, Harvard, and many other universities are actively working and have already found many non-pesticide treatments for decreasing aphid populations and therefore reducing their damage. Many of these universities concluded that behavioral changes in the farmers would drastically alter the amount of aphids that breed in certain areas. Behavioral changes such as keeping farms clean of dropped and rotted fruit drastically reduces the breeding area for these pests.
Soybean aphids cause less damage to crops than sugarcane aphids for multiple reasons. First, soybean aphids only impacted a small area in the United States and Canada before they were combated with the use of insecticides, while the sugarcane aphid still impacts parts of Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Central and South Americas. Secondly, sugarcane aphids have very few means of biological control and prevention. Lastly, I would like to add that the soybean aphids are very monitored and have had little to no impact on yearly soybean harvest rates or have not experienced a serious economic loss. Soybean aphids are used in research to study how well insecticides work on field crops. This research is important because without the insecticides, damage caused by many insects could cause substantial losses in key food and fiber crops that we rely on.
The monetary damages shown by the sugarcane aphid seem to be higher than what was provided for the soybean aphid. The sugarcane aphid does more than just destroy sugarcane and sorghum plants. They alter lives and cause undue hardship on people who are affected. The lack of natural predators in the United States for the sugarcane aphid causes them to spread quickly, and combined with sloppy farming practices, they spread even faster. Researching how to mitigate the damages caused by the sugarcane aphid has led to breakthroughs in safe pesticide treatment, as well as farming behavioral changes that do not require extra chemicals on our crops or extra money for the farmers to spend. Simply keeping a clean farm and picking up the dropped fruit reduces the breeding areas for aphids, which would drastically reduce the damage caused by the pest, according to the TAMU AgriLife study.